All right. Hey, everyone. My name is Mike Asher, and I am a coach with the realestateskills.com team. And today I'm here with Stephanie with Resourceful Home Solutions. And she has just shared a win with us about a fix and flip that she's recently completed, fully renovated it, listed it on the market, and it is already pending, maybe even sold already. We'll catch up with her on that shortly. But it seemed like a very successful project. And so we are very happy to have her with us today. And so how are you doing today, Stephanie?
I'm great. I'm happy to be on this side of the deal, mostly, almost anyway, and
Sure.
happy to share the story with anyone who is looking for a little inspiration, I guess, because it's my first deal crossing any sort of finish line since joining the whole Pro Wholesaler real estate skills group, and so just happy to share.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for taking time out to do that with us. And just as we get started, if you want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing maybe prior to joining the Real Estate Skills VIP program, what did life look like for you?
Well, I actually still currently have an official 9 to 5 job. Actually, I'm a small business owner. I'm in the food business, so completely nothing to do with real estate in my other part of my life.
Sure.
I have been running like I said, a small business. It's a meal service delivery company. So basically, we cook nutritionally controlled meals for people, and
Sure.
there are a dime a dozen out there now. But I've been doing this for 23 years, so it was kind of a thing back in the day.
Sure.
And so I'm looking in the next couple of years to be exiting that business, and so. Looking at diving into more real estate investing to sort of bridge the gap between now and retirement, which I don't know, maybe 10 years away from or so.
Sure.
So I'm still doing that job, but I'm very much head first now into real estate investing, and I'm loving it. I'm learning all the time, and I think it is a great path for me for the future anyway.
Sure. Yeah, no, my story is similar as far as kind of working a 9 to 5. It sounds like you already have some experience with being a business owner. So, do you feel like that has helped you with the fix and flip process, having that experience?
Yeah, I definitely do. And I think even at the beginning of when I went through the pro wholesaler training, a lot of that training was, how to set up the business, how to set up your LLC and all those kinds of things. And so, yeah, that part for me was not a big deal. Definitely helped me get moving faster. And I think also to your point, managing the fix and flip, 100%
Sure.
was probably, I don't want to say easier for me because it wasn't easy, but I think my business experience definitely helped in the matter.
Sure. Yeah, no, I can imagine it does. For someone just starting off running a business, it can be a little bit tricky at times. I think once you get into the fold of it, you realize that it's not, this impossible task, but it can be tricky getting started. So the fact that you had that head start probably
Yeah.
helped a lot. So, well, what made you interested in real estate and, getting into the VIP program?
Well, a bunch of years ago, I purchased a vacation home in Key West, Florida, which is where I live now. Not in that
Uh-huh.
home, but in Key West. And I thought it was just going to be my vacation home, but I ended up doing a short-term rental situation, which back then was, see, I'm pretty old. There was no Airbnb back then. There was no VRBO, none
Sure.
of that. So the short-term rental game was kind of a new thing. And
Sure.
I ended up running that property as a short-term rental, owned it for a bunch of years, sold it, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago now. And ever since then, I'm wondering why did I sell it? I'm kicking myself for selling it. So anyway, a couple of
Sure.
years ago when I started to think about what life looks like after my current business is done, I took a masterclass, a real estate investing masterclass that sort of touched on all different areas of, investing from wholesaling to short-term rental to the Burr method, all those things. And
Sure.
it got, the flame lit under me again to sort of tackle the real estate investing game.
Sure.
Um, I spent a year doing some things that were great. I bought a few rental properties and stuff. but then I ran out of capital. And now what do I do? So then I started looking more closely into, okay, I need to generate some cash more quickly. Started looking at wholesaling, and I probably researched, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 different groups, companies, whatever, that wanted to teach me how to wholesale. And I just didn't want to go do the door knocking and the bandit signs and all that. That's just not me. Plus, it's kind of old school. And then I don't know. In my searching, I found you guys, and I was like, ding, ding, ding. This is what I need to go after. This type of wholesaling is what makes sense for me. To me, I think I called your rep the very first day I found you online. I talked to the person. I paid for the course. I got the course done in a week, and I dove in. And I can't tell you how happy I am that I did. You guys have been awesome. I'm super, super glad I made the investment. Every penny of it was worth it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think you can relate to a lot of people, because I think a lot of people are, it's not just really who they are to do the door knocking and the bandit signs and to dump a ton of marketing into, skip tracing and doing mailers and stuff like that. It can be a real struggle and a challenge for someone just starting off. And one of the
Sure.
nice things about what we teach with MLS, getting our leads off the MLS, is just the cost to get going. And again, just that, I don't think it's for everybody to, go up to a stranger's door and knock on it. I know it wasn't for me either. And that was a big thing that attracted me to Real Estate Skills, was kind of not going down that traditional wholesaling route. And so I can definitely relate to what you're saying there. And I think that's awesome. What would you
Yeah.
say the biggest thing is that Real Estate Skills was able to help you with in regards to how it related to this fix and flip? Is there anything specific that sticks out as like, this section of the training was really helpful in what I did? Or
Honestly, I think that for me, real estate skills, your course and your coaching, your community online, it really just kind of gave me just a bigger, broader picture and exposed me to more areas of real estate investing other than just wholesaling. And,
sure,
through the course of doing all those things, I got more familiar with, how hard money lending works, because I kept having to get proof of funds and dealing with all of that. And I, I thought, well, why don't I just get pre-qualified? Let's see how this looks like, if I go to one of these lenders. So I did. Why not? And so, I just started learning bits and pieces that I didn't think I was really going to tap into initially.
sure,
I just thought I was going to look into wholesaling. And then the whole sort of, I don't want to call it a script, but the concept that when speaking with agents and, other parties involved, the script is sort of, well, wholesaling is one of my exit strategies, if not fixing and flipping or whatever. And so
sure,
as I continue to be challenged with getting a wholesale deal across the line, I'm like, it's not my only exit strategy. What if I flip this? And so the
sure.
next property that I got under contract after I sort of had that revelation, I said, if I really thought I was going to wholesale it, I really thought it was I had the buyer and everything. I said, if this doesn't make it through, I'm going to do it myself. And
Awesome.
I thought it was going to make it through. It didn't make it through, and I did it myself. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
no, that's awesome.
yeah. And all of that, I never intended to be a fix and flipper. I mean, I never
Sure,
did. But because of everything I learned just in the process of the wholesaling stuff, it gave me everything
sure.
I needed. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, how about you tell us a little bit about the fix and flip? Tell us, we know that you got it with the intentions of wholesaling it, but you had another exit strategy and decided to go ahead and get a hard money loan out and purchase the property and fix and flip it yourself. Maybe just talk a little bit about, what that process looked like, maybe some challenges you faced, and just, the aspect of the renovation and kind of, how all that went and what you learned from it.
Sure, sure. Well, I will start by saying I really have had no clue what I was doing. I mean, I've done projects on my own personal home before, but never anything to this extent, and never, really with a timeline and so many parts and pieces to have to track. So I really didn't know what I was doing. I took a big leap of faith. Per the advice in your group, I joined the local RIA association, and actually to this day have not yet even been to a meeting in person, but their online groups, their Facebook group and everything. I have met a ton of people that are helpful. That's how I found my contractor. Actually found several contractors that were highly recommended on the RIA Facebook page. And I reached out to them and asked if they were interested in bidding, told them this is my timeline. This is the general scope of what I need to get done. Are you interested in bidding? And can you meet the timeline? That narrowed down to, I think, three that said they could, two that actually followed through, came, walked the property, gave me a bid. And then, so I chose one of those two. And it just went from there. It was a complete dump. The house was built in 1911, and it was the gentleman that had lived there passed away about a year prior. And so the house was just, I mean, it hadn't been touched in probably 50 years. It was just disgusting. Fully loaded with all of his junk, everything. So it was a full trash out, demo down to the studs.
Wow.
It was a full rehab. Small house, 1,200, nope, under 1,100 square feet at the beginning. By the time I was done, it was 1,270. So we added some value there, which is great.
Cool.
2 beds, 1 bath, really small kitchen. So small. And I would say I'm super glad that I chose a small home for the first flip, because it was a super big challenge. So it took, the contractor, when he bid, told me it would be a 10-week job. They could do it in 10 weeks. So in my budget, in my head, I said 12. Turned out to be 13. So not too bad, not too far off.
Right.
The putting it up for sale process was super quick and easy. We went from coming soon on the MLS to 2 days later going live on the MLS, and that was a Friday. By Sunday, I had it under contract for quite a bit over asking price. So it's not closed yet. That's the unfortunate part. We're not closing till April 30th. So a little bit more carrying costs for me, but the offer was great, and I couldn't say no to that. So
awesome. Now that is so cool that on how you problem solve some of that stuff and found contractors. I know that's something that a lot of new fix and flippers struggle with, is finding someone to come in that can do the work, but also do the work in a timely manner, at a reasonable price. That can be one of the bigger challenges. And so I love what you did there with, going to those joining those RIA groups on Facebook, getting referrals, having them bid it out. That sounds like you really knew what you were doing there, and it paid off for you. So
I didn't really know what I was doing, though. That's the thing. I just, one step at a time, and I just took the plunge. And it was nerve-wracking, and, I was definitely not in my comfort zone, but you get through to the next step, and then, it all works out.
Yeah, and I think that's where some of that business experience comes into play, too, as far as just learning how to continue moving forward, understanding that, it's going to be a process. It's not going to be this super laid back thing, but, starting a business is nerve wracking in general. And for you have already doing that. And then coming here, you're a little bit, already kind of comfortable with that feeling of being uncomfortable. I tell people that all the time is you need to learn how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because it's definitely nerve wracking when you first start doing things. So,
absolutely.
But one thing I definitely wanted to ask you was just like the design of the home, some of the finishing touches that were put on there. I really, really like them. And I was wondering, did you pay someone to kind of design it for you, or are those your personal touches?
No, those are my personal touches. You guys always joke about, you can't just watch HGTV and flip a house. And that's true. But I do watch a lot of HGTV. So I guess I'm constantly looking for cool designs and whatever. And, some of the finishing touches in the house, I would literally be, watching TV at
Uh-huh.
night in my living room and have Amazon open at the same time looking for light fixtures or, whatever. I just would find things that I thought would look
Awesome.
cool. And once you start, um, because well, for me anyway, once you demo the place and you're watching the new sheetrock go up and the new everything happen,
Yeah.
it's just a blank slate, and it's really hard to envision what's going to make it cool. What's the cool
Sure.
factor here? But for me anyway, as soon as I thought of like one little thing, oh, I think I could do like a built-in desk over here or whatever it was,
Yeah.
it all started to sort of fall into place. And I don't know, for me, it just worked out one step at a time again. Like I had no idea what I was
Awesome.
doing other than I knew I needed to open up the kitchen because that was an old school closed in kitchen. So I knew we had to get rid of one big wall. And I knew I had to finish what was a 3-season porch. This is in Minnesota, by the way. So it was a 3-season porch and not considered finished square feet unless everything's insulated and there's a ceiling and a floor and all the walls. So
Sure.
did that, finished it, threw in some baseboard heating, and bam, I got an additional 140 finished square feet, which is a big number if you're talking
Awesome.
about value of the house.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I knew I had to take the kitchen wall out and I knew I had to finish that room. But as far as decor and design, it was literally one step at a time. And it just kind of,
Sure.
okay, now I did that. Now this other thing over here is a good idea that would look good with that. And then over there, I could do this.
Sure.
No scientific plan, just, yeah.
Yeah. Just one step at a time, like you said. And I think you obviously have a eye for design and style, because I'm being honest when I say I was really impressed with the finishes that you put in. I thought it all really looked well. Even a couple of
Thanks.
the walls that you painted, a lot of fix flippers, they just throw white everywhere, because
Mm-hmm.
they don't want to put in a color that maybe keep someone from buying. But the colors you picked out, I thought really looked good, and I'm sure it helped with the process of getting under contract so quickly and even over list
Yeah.
price.
And to that end, I noticed, and I started watching obviously the comps in the area really closely
Mm-hmm.
from about 4 weeks before I went on the market until I went on the market. And I could see what comps, newly renovated ones would come on, and they all, like you said, white, gray,
Mm-hmm.
no personality or whatever.
Sure.
And then occasionally I would see a comp that had some cool features. And
Mm-hmm.
inevitably that property would sell for 10, 20, 30 grand more
Sure.
than the vanilla ones. And so I wanted to have a little bit of a cool factor, but still keep it, that it would appeal
Sure.
to the majority of people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my realtor helped me
Great.
with that as well. My realtor on the sales side, she actually offered to come in and suggest a few things for finishing touches and stuff.
Great.
Just from what she knows would sell to the type of buyer that would buy this house.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, during the renovation, did you guys run into any unexpected problems, or did everything pretty much go smoothly?
It went smoothly as far as the property itself. There were no really crazy surprises, but definitely challenges with the contractors, with their subs. People didn't show up that said they were supposed to, and it definitely required managing from that regard. Also, there was a really long delay for some reason at the beginning with the permit. And they weren't being honest with me, they being the contractors. So you do have to manage them, even if you think they're great.
Sure.
You have to, you can't just assume that their timeline is really happening. You have to be present at least every few days. I thought anyway, I needed to show up every few days at least.
Sure.
Towards the end, I was showing up every day because it was the final details, right? And I just wanted to make sure they were doing it right, because, they're going to try to do the least amount of work that they can and collect the check.
Sure.
For me, that was a little bit frustrating, but it's part of the game. Yeah.
Sure. Awesome. Well, I think it's great how you problem solve those situations, and as they come up, you just manage it. A lot of people think maybe that you just buy a house, you hire a contractor, and then you just sit and collect the money, but there's definitely a lot of managing
No.
involved, and a lot of problem
Yeah.
solving. And so now I
And
got
there's
to
a lot of
ask. Oh,
decisions to be made. Oh, I'm sorry. I was
yeah.
just going to say there's a lot of decisions to be made along the way as well to make sure that
Hmm.
what you're selecting for your finishes are within the budget of what the contractor
Right.
bid at, right? So that was
Sure.
a bit of a learning curve for me too, because I told them at the beginning I wanted mid-grade finishes. And then when it came down to, okay, tell me what you budgeted for per square foot for flooring so I can go pick out some flooring, it was way less than what I would have thought it would. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
their mid grade was much lower than my mid grade. So
Sure.
there's a lot of decisions that have to be made budget wise along the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that leads into my next question of, when you evaluated the property, even though you were kind of looking at it as a wholesale, how accurate were you with, your ARV estimates and your repair costs?
Pretty dang close.
Yeah. Good.
I went over a little bit on repair costs, probably by about 10 grand,
Okay.
which is about 10% of the total budget. But I did that on purpose because going back to when we were talking about doing just the plain vanilla white or
Yeah.
having a little bit of a cool factor. So
Mhm.
I knew, I mean, I made those choices because I really felt it was going to get me higher sale price, and
Right.
it did.
Yeah.
So, but the original methods that I learned from you guys about determining, the repair costs were very spot on with what the contractor's bid came in at. There was a little push and pull here and there, but mostly very spot
Sure.
on. Same with the ARV. I would say that I could have been less conservative with the ARV, but I just want to make sure I wasn't,
Mm-hmm. Right.
too optimistic. So I was pretty conservative with the ARV. And as I said, it did go under contract. No, it's not closed yet, so I want to knock on some wood, but
Sure.
it's 30 grand higher
Awesome.
is what it's under contract at versus what my sales price was. And to that end as well, the hard money lender that I used, I don't know if this is standard with all these companies, it probably is, but they send out a person, an inspector of sorts,
Mm-hmm.
at the front end of the deal, and they also calculate what they think is the ARV, and his matched mine exactly. So
Awesome.
you guys are teaching exactly what we need to know, and that's perfect.
Sure. Yeah, we like to teach, the foundation, but it does take time to really learn how to hone those numbers in and get them really accurate. And it sounds like you spent a lot of time doing that and became really good at it. And you've now been able to reap the benefits of that work. And so great job with that. I guess my last question would just be, what advice would you give, somebody else that's maybe thinking about getting into real estate, whether wholesaling or fix and flip, or what would your advice be to them?
Boy, I mean, there's a lot of different aspects and angles, but one thing that I notice, and I spend a fair amount of time in your community, reading other people's questions and answers and stuff. I've learned a ton from you guys and other members as well. But when I see new people that are just starting, maybe just finishing the training and coming on board, I see them getting really stuck on things like the name of their business or,
Sure.
their website or whatever. And I guess my advice is just stop over analyzing, just dive in and try to get some deals done. Just try it.
Sure.
All those little side things aren't that important. No one really cares what your business card looks like or, whatever. You have to have those tools, obviously, to build a business, but they're not the most important thing. The most important thing is the person and what you're doing with what you've learned. So
Right.
that's just something I notice a lot, that newer students or
Sure.
newer members talk about. But as far as real estate investing itself, I just feel really strongly that you can't invest your money in a better place. Long
Sure.
term, if you are able to either own and carry, hold for a long time, or even if you're great at wholesaling and that's what you can do, real estate provides such a solid, you know, block of potential wealth or long-term wealth income. I don't know how to
Hmm.
put it exactly right, but it's just
Sure.
solid. It's solid. And
Hmm.
I say everyone that's dabbling in it, keep keep going, keep trying because it's totally worth it. It's always
Sure.
going to be around. I don't know a single person, older person in life who's very well off that doesn't own kind of a lot of real estate. So,
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
I just think it's a solid place to be.
Yeah. No, real estate has historically been a pretty tried and true method. If done correctly, right, you can definitely lose a lot of money
Right.
if you kind of go in it willy nilly or whatever. But if you stick to the skill sets and that people have been taught and that have been used for a long time now, usually it can be a pretty good investment for you. So, all right. Well, I just want to thank you so much, Stephanie, again for joining us today. Your story is really inspiring, and I think people that are able to watch this video will be encouraged of what's possible. And some of the success that you've had being a part of the real estate skills program, and kind of being a true example of what is possible. And so, really appreciate you joining us today, and thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, and thanks to all the coaches. You guys really have helped me through. It's been, I don't know, 10 months or so since I first took the training, and I can't tell anyone who's watching this how many times you guys have pulled me out of the gutter or given me an add a girl or whatever. And it's really highly appreciated. You guys are great at what you do, and I couldn't be more happy to be part of this group.
Awesome. Well, that means a lot to us. Thank you so much for saying that. And I'm glad you felt supported through that whole process. If anybody else is interested in joining the VIP Pro Wholesaler program, you can just go to realestateskills.com and get more information there. All right, Stephanie, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Mike. Have a great day.